This is now the part where I come in.
Yes, ma'am.
Because now you talk to me.
Yes, ma'am.
The dummy.
All eyes on you.
All eyes on me.
There we go.
Because the previous session was lovely, but I was sitting there and I was like, what? So I know there are basic questions that I need to understand, which you kind of spoke above me. And I think a lot of my clients are the same. Everyone has a question as to, I don't know where to buy. There's the whole debate of, okay, I think we discussed it, that a good location will give you a great value for your property. But if I'm saying I'm not looking to stay there, I'm looking to get a rental, what would you propose?
Right. With any investment, if you go to a stockbroker, if you go to a doctor, if you say, I've got a headache, he's going to say, you feel, so it's always a diagnosis issue. So when you're buying property, is it away from you? Is it an investment? I'm looking to maximize my money. Am I buying a house in Warren Park and I'm charging people $80 a room and that's the deal?
Yeah.
Or am I somebody who grew up in Hatfield and I want to preserve that, so I'm buying something else? So what are you intending to buy? That's then going to say, what can you afford? And then what do you want to use your investment towards? The house that you live in is a lifestyle investment. The one you don't is a cash flow investment.
Right.
Yeah. So pick your horse.
A good question to ask yourself is, are you buying a property or are you investing in a property? Because then that takes you down two different paths.
Okay, so if I'm buying a property, what does that mean?
If you're buying a property, now we're talking about your lifestyle. Where do you work? What do you want to feel? There's aspirational questions.
Yeah.
So again, your agent, when you're speaking to them, should be able to understand what it is that you're trying to do.
Right.
Some people really feel they must live in a certain area in order to have arrived.
Yeah.
When you're buying, that's allowed.
Sure.
But you can't then say you're investing in a property and you want to invest in Borrowdale. That's just not clever.
Okay, so before we go into buying, let's talk about investing. So assume I have my first house, I'm staying in neighborhood XYZ. I now have money to, you said invest. Mm-hmm. I want to invest in a property. So where would you say I should invest? Because I want rental. I want it to look after me. And I think the big dream is to be able to say, I can leave my job and my rental will look after me, which is, you'd have to have a lot of properties. Sure. So let me look at the first property that I want to get rental from. Where should I look?
So again, we come back with questions. What's your risk appetite? There's certain places where you can put your money into property, but there's risks involved. There's certain places, if you feel, look, I want my money to be safe, but I also want rentals. But maybe to answer your question, you want an answer.
That would be great.
Useful.
Yeah.
On a podcast.
I think a lot of people are getting good returns out of your high density properties. There's lots of demand. If a tenant moves out, it's easy to get people back in.
Okay.
And if you set up your rental property correctly, you can actually get better yields, or I don't know how to, better yields.
This
and
term
yields is return.
Yes.
Yes.
Yields is another story altogether, right?
Right.
So a yield is, if I put a year's rent over the value of the property, it's going to give me a return, right? Mm-hmm. So if I get 4,000 a year on a 40,000 property, I've got a 10% return. My yield is 10%, right?
Right.
So you'll find that yields are stronger. Mathematics, I was very bad at maths at school, but I know if you have a lower denominator, the big number on the bottom, if that's smaller, then the one on top is
bigger.
There we go. Then you're going to have a bigger result, right?
Right.
So if you've got a 40,000 property, you're going to get 10-11% return.
Right.
If you've got a $200,000 property, your return is maybe 8, 7, 6.
Okay.
If you've got a 400,000 property in the brook or on the next door of the brook, in the brook you can't get in for that kind of money, you're going to get 4% return.
Right.
So the higher the value, the lower return you're going to get in terms of cash flow. but then we're now talking about price appreciation. So never forget that property has two elements to it. There's the cash and the rent that you can get in, and then there's the value of that thing. I see you guys in Blaauw selling stands at this phase at $34 a square meter. Back in the day when that was launched, it was sub 30, right? So there's been some capital appreciation, although no income has been flowing right now. So you want to make sure when you are investing, are you a mercenary with your money? Are you saying I am chasing the best dollar right now at the highest yield, qualified by being within my budget? So ndine 10,000, ndine 20,000, ndakanangana ne X, Y, and Z, and then you're going to go to an agent and you're going to have a plan to say, I'm trying to maximize with this amount of money. So you become strategic and very tactical and to the point with I'm trying to get as much money out of it, as opposed to what school did I go to? What's my family history? What's my aspiration? Where do I feel good about buying and investing and living?
So in basic terms, high density, because I've spent less to get it, my return is going to be higher, correct? So, and I will not struggle to get tenants, correct?
No. Yeah, most places you shouldn't. Yeah.
Right. And low density, my return will be lower.
Be lower.
With a higher investment.
Yes, you'll have a higher investment to get in. Your rental as a percentage of your investment will be lower. And then if you get clever tenants, they can mess you around. If they stop paying, to get them out is now high court eviction, and then they can play. So it's more expensive, it's more difficult. So at the lower end of the market, as Brian said, a lot more quicker movement.
Right.
At the higher end, expect lawyers when you try and evict guys and say come with a court order, which takes 3 months and a couple of grand to get done.
So I would invest in low density because my property will appreciate more. Would you say, don't get too technical, compared to high density?
You can't call it like that. You just don't know. I'll give you an example of one area. I'm not sure if I can say it, but in Raynham, for example, they launched at $64 per square meter.
Yeah.
And within 2 years, it's gotten to $120 per square meter. So they've almost doubled the value of the property there within a period of 2, which is a great return. Of course, capital appreciation actually is the right word.
And Raynham is high density.
It's, you're talking 200 square meter, 300 square meter properties. So yes, I would say high density. But you're not going to see a property in Borrowdale Brook doubling in price over 2 years. Yeah. Okay.
But long term, for me, so you're saying there's now no proper, it's not automatic to say low density, you'll get a higher value versus high density.
Sure.
Okay. But it's easier to sell high density.
Look at it as a triangle, right? At the tippy top, few numbers. In anything, there's only one Chelsea in the World Cup champions, right?
Right.
You got other guys wanting to play at that level.
Right.
So in money, in sport, in academics, there's the top of the pyramid, and there are very few people there.
Right.
Then you come down to the middle, and then right at the bottom, you've got the base. The base will always have the most numbers, and with that liquidity, getting in and out. And when mortgages become available or nostros are given to civil servants, that affordability shoots up down here.
Okay.
So there's movement there. It's easier, as he said, to go from 40,000 to 45,000, which is a 11% improvement, than to go from 400,000 to 720,000.
Right. Okay. So let's play down here. So I don't have much money, and stands are quite expensive. I will say this, even though I'm selling them. For the average person who would want to say, if I put aside $100, by the end of the year, I should have been able to buy something. Just looking at the people that I've dealt with to say, look, I should be able to put aside money which isn't taking away from my everyday needs. You have those schemes where I'm able to put, someone has a piece of land subdivided, they say, you can buy the land paying $50 every month. How secure are those kind of schemes or projects to protect me, who I've started now, it will take me 5 years to finish paying it off. How am I protected within that period?
So I think it depends on what the arrangement is. So if it's a property with title deeds, you've got lots of options. You can put caveats on the title deed. You can register. I think it's called Section 68. I understand you'll be speaking to a lawyer soon.
Yeah.
So you can speak to them about that. There's ways to protect yourself when this property is titled. We can go
So
back.
I can title it even though I've paid $150?
Depends on the owner.
Okay.
You can title it, and the seller can put a bond, a reverse bond. There's options. All I'm just trying to say is there are legal options to protect yourself. But what it sounds like you're talking about is the typical developer session scenario, and you are at risk.
I am at risk. Because the reason why I can afford $50 is because that's what I can afford. You're talking about legal fees that I'm like, to even speak to a lawyer, I've spent $500 before he's given me the options that you're talking about.
Tafadz, what the safest thing to do is always check the reputation of the developer, right? We've interacted. I've done radio for 6 years in this country.
Yeah.
I'll always say, check the deed, right? The parent deed, where this thing is coming from. If a developer is selling something, he hasn't pulled it out of his hair. He says he should have a farm that had a registration and a title deed. You want to see who owns that. Has that person gone to the city council in the area or the RDC and said, we want to create 1,000 stands, 200 stands?
Right.
Then you get a subdivision permit. The subdivision permit is then going to have a schedule of the stands that the Surveyor General knows about, that there's stand number 1001 right down to 2000 and what have you. You want to be able to see that to satisfy yourself. You then want an agreement of sale with as close to those entities as possible, right? Either the name of the deed holder or an agent who has a mandate which you want to see, or a company that is doing the development, right? So you want to have a binding tie that your piece of paper saying, I'm buying this stand over 5 years, cannot get, the legal term is usurped. Somebody can't just come and put something else on top of it without everybody knowing.
Right.
You want to have as an objective documentation that you, Tafadz, have entered into this agreement with this developer of repute and of reputation. That when you get a stand sale agreement, read it. Where does the money go? What are the recourses? What is breach? What are remedies? All of these things are just saying,
Right.
and you need to be sure of that. And the best DD is, has this person done it before? Are they registered? Do they have physical offices? Please, no Facebook Marketplace dodgy guys. Please,
Very accessible.
don't pass money on WhatsApps or meeting Brajo at the corner and then slipping in an envelope of blue notes. Do it legit, do it properly with registered people who've got a track record that you can track down.
It's interesting you say that, because I find as I'm selling, a lot of people call in and say, so where do I pay? I'm like, you don't even know who I am. Yes, I work for BancABC, but if I said you send it on my EcoCash, are you going to send it? But it means that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if we're a very trusting or gullible nation to be able to say, I found you on Facebook, I'm able to just transact without...
It's desperation.
doing the DD.
People really want to own property. They want to own some land. But I think there's a huge opportunity for banks such as yourselves to get into a model of shared ownership.
Explain that.
A developer / bank who's holding stands which are titled and developed fully will offer them to the market. And when somebody comes in to purchase, they can pay whatever they have, and they're buying shares. Let me simplify it. Let's say there's property number one, stand number one, and it's worth $10,000. If we register this property in a company and there's 100 shares.
So the bank registers the stand as a property.
And it's got 100 shares in it. So when a buyer comes in and says, look, I've got $100. You can say, okay, $100 will get you one share. So now they own 1% of the piece of land. And they do that at the pace that they can do it. Now, if they're going to take occupation, what they should do is pay the bank a rental for their 99%. So the bank is still going to be earning money on whatever they own, and the buyer is incentivized to actually pay more so that they pay less rental. It just means that more people can actually get onto the property ladder with support from the bank. And in other jurisdictions, the government actually comes in and owns a portion of that.
What is the benefit? Because I own a percentage of a stand.
Yeah.
I want to own the whole stand.
You're working on it.
But you don't yet have the money.
I don't have the money.
He's giving you the mechanism over time to make your payments towards reducing chikwelete chako. So it's not quite a mortgage, but you are buying kanzato as you go along.
Is my price locked in?
Yeah, your price is locked in. Well,
regardless
it depends
of the
now on
changes.
how the product is developed, but it would be wise for there to be a valuation process.
Right.
Because they're going to benefit from the revaluation in terms of equity if they ever want to sell their shares.
Right.
So the bank should also benefit from that.
I hear this smart young man in Zim, the pricing, the dynamics, the currency, the admin, the sophistication to get into that, question mark. I hear the direction. I'd love to see it, but yeah, I'm not sure us average oaks are ready for that. That's my
I think it's innovation. So the first person to actually get that right, and look, let's tie in crypto into tokenizing stands before they have title and
we've lost half the audience. If you say crypto.
And cut.
No, I think that there's room for innovation. I think that's really the point. To allow people who want to get onto the ladder who ordinarily cannot. And bringing on even the government as part of that, because they own a lot of land. So if they come on board and they work with the bank, you bring in the development finance, but the shared part of the deal is the land.
Okay, but I think you've touched on something that I think we spoke about in the previous one of the episodes, where every Zimbabwean wants to own a home. Mm-hmm. You're selling something that sounds like it will take longer for my dream to happen. And it's not tangible. Because I own shares, I don't own a title. And it might not be as appealing in from what I'm seeing. But in terms of Zimbabweans wanting to own a piece of land or property, is that what it is in South Africa? Everybody wants a title? Or are people fine just renting until they pass away?
No, the aspiration is the same. Mm-hmm. A lot bigger market, a lot more liquid, so people can mortgage quite easily. But the direction is the same. People want to own. And then their mechanisms, not quite as sophisticated. There are state subsidies that can assist you. First-time home buyers actually get literally money from the government to put down as a deposit on something. So not yet there. The Zimbabwean market, size, scale, fundability from the state is not there. But yeah, there are mechanisms that can be made available to subsidize somebody buying. If Honorable Minister Mthuli could just put a hold on VAT on stands less than 50 grand, straight away, you've saved somebody 4.7 grand on buying a stand, you know? Yeah. So there are these mechanisms. There can be incentives that if we are doing infrastructure is part of the National Development Plan. Just recognize the developer for doing that and say, okay, you've put in $1 million tax credit of 50% or 100% or 130% so that we are building, so the state is getting its objectives done, but it's using private money to do it. And then if I can build cheaper, I can sell cheaper, and then more people can buy, and then we're building the country because we've created that stimulus and energy from the bottom end of the market.
Okay, which is all well and good. It's great, we tick the box. But I think there's something that I don't know if other markets do it, but I don't think there's the education that someone gets once they've purchased a house or a piece of land and they've built. Right now, I'm renting, all I pay are my rates.
Yeah.
If the house burns down, it's not my problem. If it's not painted, it's not my problem because it's not my house.
Yeah.
Now I've built my house. What are the costs that I'm now going to incur? because I own a property.
Insurance. Please insure your property. It's just like your car. It's like your life. It's like your Tejara's life. Everybody buys a Nyaradzo policy because you can see something's going to come down the track. So insure it, right?
Is that insuring the building or even my chair, my table?
I would insure the building more than I would insure the contents.
Okay.
Right? Because the
Got you.
contents, we're going to break the chair, little Johnny's going to break it, your smoking buddy's going to burn your couch. That thing depletes over time.
Okay.
But the physical structure, where your money is, look after your money.
What's the average insurance cost?
It's not very expensive.
No, it's
Not
not.
very
How much is
expensive. I would say on a $200,000 house or $300,000 house, you're probably going to pay $120 a year.
Okay.
But it's a very real risk.
Is that like comprehensive? Is that the term that they use? For
Like
house
with anything,
insurance?
you can insure everything down to if the geyser goes drip, drip, drip. But
Okay.
you don't want to do that.
Okay.
You want to say, no, if this thing substantially burns down and I now have to get a contractor to rebuild the item, that's where the scary part is. Not.
But
not
are there
that.
levels to say
Yes.
I'm just insuring against fire?
Sure.
Or,
But remember that it's not very expensive at that level.
okay.
Your house and contents, your contents portion is much higher, but the actual structure
It's not that
is not that
expensive.
expensive. It's
Okay.
actually something that people just overlook, like you said. It's people just not knowing.
Okay.
But I'll tell you,
Until it burns
until
down.
it burns down. I'll tell you, last year, I think 4 or 5 houses in Greendale alone burnt down. It's happening, and remember that our houses are reaching their estimated end of life,
Right.
so to speak. Nobody ever thinks about that.
Okay.
Houses were built in the 50s, 60s. It's the same wood in that ceiling.
Yeah.
The wiring is the same. It wears out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So insurance, next cost.
Rates and taxes.
Okay.
The municipality knows your name, knows your stand, its size, its valuation. They want rates and taxes that get levied on that property. So you have to pay that.
Okay.
The owner pays that. He may transfer the payment and the cost to a tenant, but the responsibility, the
It's on
account
me.
is in you, the owner's name, at the municipality, and performance is on you. If you don't perform, they sue you. You can't say tenant anakubhadhara
Okay.
chino chako.
What else?
Zinwa wants money if you've got a borehole.
What do you mean? It's my water.
It is your water.
Because-
Well, it's not your water, actually. It's
not-
it's the country's water.
But I
So they
drilled
charge, I
for
think,
it.
like $120 a year. You have to pay for a license or something, a permit for having a
on top
borehole.
of the water charge, if I'm not using the water.
Those are two different people.
Okay.
So you're paying for infrastructure for City of Harare
Yes.
in your council bill.
Which includes
Zinwa is for your borehole.
right. Okay. Wow. Okay. What else?
Maintenance. If it's an asset, it looks beautiful today because we built it. 5 years from now, I'm not even talking about crazy redesigning. Ngopenda imba.
Right.
Magatas, pamwanora, pamwane mashija.
Right.
Spend some time and money just clearing that out, making sure it's spick and span. If you bought a property from a developer or a contractor who didn't quite know what he's doing, the property may settle over time. You might get cracks. You might get tiles that are lifting. For it to be harmonious and have a view into the future, you're going to have to spend some money on the building fabric to make sure it is.
Okay. So let's talk about maintenance costs. We have some developments that we are selling, and some may be gated, some may not. Can we define what a gated community is?
At law or in common
In
parlance?
basic, when I phone and I say, is your property a gated community? Is your development a gated community? What does that? It may mean something different in South Africa.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it means the same here. But what does it mean?
Okay, it's not a legally defined term.
It's not.
Yeah.
So it's how I feel.
Yes.
Walled and gated. Unfortunately, some things are marketing terms
Yes.
and some things are actual terms.
Right.
Our market doesn't differentiate. If there's a wall and a gate,
It's a gated community.
it's a gated community.
Okay.
But I think that actual gated communities are approved by the city council. That's where you get communities which have schools in them, clinics, certain number of clusters, and certain numbers are supposed to be freestanding houses, and we're getting more and more of them, and that's a real gated community and approved one.
Okay.
Then there's developer ABC, walls and gates.
Interesting letters to choose, isn't it?
And developer 1, 2, 3. Developer 1, 2, 3.
Right? Just, he's not in the conversation.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
about it, yeah.
And your definition?
My mind is spinning, right?
Okay.
So south of the Limpopo, very firm legal position, right? To encourage joint ownership of property, there's sectional title legislation, there's homeowner legislation. You get, as he said, a developer, you get a development permit, and it creates very real rights that if you buy in this stand, you will pay a levy. You will follow these rules. You will not design a house that is outside of these pre-agreed plans and what have you.
Okay.
So a gated community to me is a coalition of the willing, where people have applied their minds and bought into a set of pre-existing rules. Right. So once you're inside there, you know that there are gate hours. You know that you must register if you've got domestic help. They must provide their ID numbers, and they must come between these hours. If you've got visitors, they need to phone ahead. Then you give them a gate pass. That is access controlled, so that you're knowing that community has chosen a standard. And then anybody who wants to interact with that community, we know the rules, and then everybody interacts with the rules. As opposed to literally Kuisa, Jurawo, and then putting a gate, and then the boom just lives up. It's marketing is there's puffery, there's advertising, invitation to treat. It's all funny English.
Right.
Yeah. So I think you've touched on something which I think it's there in our law, that whenever you sectionalize, you've got to create what's called a notarial deed. But again, it just gets lost in the paperwork, because that's where they should have these rules, and then it should be enforceable. So I think enforceability, if there's such a word, big question mark on that one. Yeah. But I think there are things that are in our law that allow for it to be done properly, but it's just not yet.
Okay.
That would be my contribution to our industry here in Zim. We've got to get that enforceability being a real right that has legal protection. Because if it's, you can have a block of flats, drive along Josiah Tongogara, you can see a active levy situation where people are contributing, and there's enforced payment, and then there's one that's lax. Side by side, you can see who is maintaining. I'm not going to say the makeup of these people versus these people.
You know, you're having people drive along Josiah to be like, which one was he talking about?
But there's some that are just top notch, because people have bought in. They're enforced rules.
Yeah.
If you do not pay, your water gets cut, and it's enforced.
So, as a developer, at what point do I let people know what will be required if you are part of the gated community?
This is where the problem is. It's not structured. You'll find many developers just want to do the minimum they need to do, which is develop and sell.
Well, before you get there, I'm looking at it as the developer selling, right? I have told you that people don't understand. You've defined the gated boom.
Okay.
He's defined the structured one. If I want to implement the structured one as a developer, at what point do I then explain that to people? Because I have someone who has signed the offer form, and then I've told them it's a gated community, and they're like, great. And then when I showed them the homeowners association, they're like, wait, no one controls me but my mother, you know. So, so to avoid that, where do you suggest I or we, the developer, should give that information? Do I say, here's the offer form and this is what will constitute you?
Yeah. So it's part of due diligence, because when somebody is doing a competent due diligence, you're going to look at the title deed. If it's a sectional title, you know that there's supposed to be a notarial deed, and you read that notarial deed. So it's actually on the other foot. The buyer has the responsibility to look into what they're getting into. So if you're not going to look at the deeds look at what sectional title is, look at, all of that paperwork, you're going in blind. And developers, again, as I said, they are incentivized to get a sale, get their cash flow, move on.
The Latin expression ab initio, from the beginning, day one, my guy. Just as you can see, it's stand number 142, and it is south facing, and it comes off 11th Road. When you buy here, the rules are right? And it's a term of the contract. You can't then vary it later. You can't plead ignorance later because it was presented to you. When you buy here, terms and conditions apply. Term number 3, ucha badara $50 a month security levy. Ukasai badara, we can deny you access to the community.
Okay. Because I think our issue we're finding when you then say there's a levy, people then are like, no. And I think that's where some of the gated communities that I've heard of are struggling with people saying, why am I paying for that?
Accountability is an issue.
Yep.
So I think people end up falling off, even if they can afford it, because they feel their money is not being spent how they would like it to be spent. Again, having the rules set in stone, being transparent, having AGMs and et cetera, I think is important. Maybe if we got an ombudsman.
Or what?
We have
Brian, I did say the session is for the average person.
That's Brian.
What did
But I've got
He wants a regulator.
here.
He wants a
Thank
regulator.
you. You see, this is, let me just have this conversation.
As somebody you can speak to. So
Yeah.
we have those bodies set up. We have we've got a rent board which forms the same sort of, if there's a dispute between landlord and tenant, we should have specialized experts in an area to determine what's fair, what's practical, and all the rest of it. So as he's suggesting, if you have that set up front, then we know about it. And then when levies are there, I think anybody, the money you pay, you always want to get value for it. South of the Limpopo, a developer has an obligation to set up call it the homeowners association. There's a homeowners association and a body corporate. And then that legal entity has very specific requirements. It must collect money. It must produce a budget. It must regulate disputes. It must insure the property. That's at law. It's not, I felt about it, I thought about it. So when you're buying into that kind of a scheme, there is it's enforced at statute. It's not even me, the developer, forcing you, the buyer. It's at law that's removed from both of us. If you don't, the body corporate can sue you and sell your property to get their money. So we need to get serious about that.
Right.
I've got a question, and I mean, it's a bit controversial, but in Shona or Ndebele, is there a word for maintenance?
Yes. Kuchengeta.
Kuchengeta, that's taking care of. It's not maintenance. It's not a process. It's not a process. That's safeguarding.
Okay.
You can lock something up to take
What's
care.
what's a billion in Shona?
A billion?
Yes. Maria Kawanda. It's the precision of language. I get where you're
it's
going.
tricky. But my point being that if there isn't a word for it, then in culture, it's not a practice that's common. So one of the things...
Kuchengetedza.
No. Kuchengetedza is... Okay, we'll need to come back to that. We'll need to come back to Kuchengetedza. It could be. But I think generally it's a culture thing, and language speaks to culture in that maintenance is not something that we really prize. So the minute you're talking about maintenance, you're talking about levies. That's where the question comes in. Sorry to go round to come to this.
I get what you're saying.
I'm not buying that.
People aren't even painting their houses. Just your own house, the freestanding house.
But our Balis used to wear platform shoes and bell bottoms, right? They would want to look good going out of the house. To now then say culturally we don't appreciate how things look, how they feel, we don't look after them because we don't have a technical term in it. I'm not going. I get where you're going, but I think that we have economic challenges and there are higher priorities in the tumultuous economic times that we've been through to think with chi, I'm putting aside 5% of Marianne Nona from a tenant, which is Tenga paint, and then on a rotational basis, don't change my gutters, and then redo the putty in the windows. No,
but that's prioritization. We're coming down to prioritization, and also the key thing here is if you don't feel culturally like it's something that is important to prioritize. Okay, let me take another angle. Either you can afford to be in a certain property or you can't. Are we saying that people are getting into places? Because the economics of it all, it's money, right? If you can't afford to be here, go to the place where you can afford the maintenance.
Wait. I think that's
Hold
where...
up. Wait a minute.
It's not going to be a very dramatic answer that I'm giving, but when you say afford, if I've bought the property, I can afford it.
No. You can afford to purchase.
No. You said if you can't afford to be here, you shouldn't be here. But the fact that I bought the property, it means I can afford to be there.
No. Being is a continuous state. So you can afford to land here.
Yes.
But to be here month on month.
But that means I can afford $100 a month.
So
if
then the
I bought
levies are
a
being
house
paid.
for 200,000.
Yes.
But
so the levies are being paid.
Why should I pay the $100 a month?
For maintenance.
My young brother here, right? Is he thinking that everybody who's ever bought a GD6 services it at Toyota? Right? I bought the GD6. It's my right.
I've arrived.
Well, I can't say much. I mean, I'm sure my car's got a couple of squeaks, but
right.
Look, I think it's a tricky element, but I do believe that to solve it is we have to attend to it culturally, make it normal to maintain things.
That I co-sign that. I subscribe to that.
Which means enforcement.
Unfortunately, there's the carrot approach and there's the big shamu approach.
Right.
You get to pick.
We should do the more carrot approach, but shamunga gareribo.
What do they say? Carry a big stick, but walk softly.
I guess so. But so currently you're saying it's not that serious to have to maintain your property. I don't know if the laws.
So
not
there are no
necessarily
laws.
Staying in a gated community, but in South Africa, do they have just generally to say this is what you're supposed to do in your street? This is what you're supposed to do to your house.
The legislation
in a normal neighborhood.
It took that away from choice. If you're a gated community,
but not a gated, just a general neighborhood.
A general neighborhood, there's no obligation because you are 1,000 individual owners with no legal nexus to one another.
Right.
I live in River Club, Finish and Claw.
Yeah.
I don't know my neighbor. My stand is here. I've got nothing to do with him.
Right.
If we're in a gated community or in a sectional title, our fortunes are tied together because we are members of an association that looks after all of us, and that association has a very real right to collect money from us on a perpetual basis and must, not can, should, might, must insure, maintain, and finance.
So just out of curiosity, in terms of just maintenance, outside my drawer, there's grass, right? Most houses have grass, right? Whose job is it to look after that?
So, it is your responsibility to make sure that it is not well overgrown. But interestingly, if you want to make it look nice, you technically should apply for what's called a beautification permit from the council.
Really?
Yeah. That's the technical thing. That's what the bylaws say. Who's supposed to do it? It comes down with the same question of who's supposed to maintain the line where the power is transmitted.
Right.
It's a moot question. You need to do it. It's not about who should.
But I can't overextend it, like beautify it.
No, you can. And that's what everyone is doing. But I'm saying the law says you need to apply for a beautification permit. Okay. It's just one of those silly, archaic things, I suppose.
Same in South Africa.
Yeah. The road belongs to the authority. Your stand will connect to the road. The servitude in between, so that pavement is not yours. You may make it look beautiful, but it's physically not yours.
In Rolf Valley last week, They came and they tore up the whole, everybody's front verge to put in pipes. They don't need to, they can come and tell you, as a courtesy.
Yeah.
But they don't have
But we're
to say
coming.
anything.
It's our land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have put a driveway over it with your lovely pebbles and what have you. Yeah, it's a pain. But it's not your ground. But it's a good thing because when it floods, you can holler at them and say, fix your thing.
Right.
It's not yours.
Okay. So as a progressive bank, being BancABC, we're not only selling stands, we're not only selling because we want to make money, which is the main aim of the bank. We've seen and heard the confusion, the fears that people have within the market, which is why we thought, let's put this together so people can have the idea of what they're buying into, what to look out for. And I think we've covered estate agents. We've covered part of law, which we're going to cover in our next episodes. We've covered the costs. Is there anything else that you guys feel we should let our viewers know?
I think in our market, people look at agents in terms of selling property. But I think there's clever people, when they're buying, I think should look to engaging an agent as a buyer's agent. Now, it's a concept which is quite foreign in this market, but I think it is used in other areas, in the US, for example. And what a buyer's agent does for you is, firstly, understand what you're looking for. Secondly, go and look specifically for what you're looking for. My estimate is that 30% of the properties for sale are not on any online listing. So of course you can go online and see what's there and then feel, I can't find what I'm looking for the money I've got. But as agents, we are communicating and we're telling each other, okay, there's this property. And the reason why some of them are not listed is because you've got prudent sellers, for example. They just don't want to be known to be selling their property. There are limits in terms of how many properties an agency can list on the portals before it becomes very expensive.
Okay.
So sometimes you just don't list the property.
Right.
So it means that as a buyer, you're missing out. But if you've got a specific person that you've allocated to come and look for a property for you, and hopefully you're loyal to them, they will actually work very hard. And then they can actually do market assessments. When you've seen a property, they can come back and tell you, this is why this property is worth X, Y, Z. Is it properly priced? Is it too high? Is it too low? And they can document that for you. So you can actually get a better deal. And the benefit as well is that you don't actually have to pay a buyer's agent.
Oh.
Yeah, they're paid by the seller. Basically, if they have to do a commission split with the other agency, that commission is always going to be paid, but now they're splitting it between the buyer and the selling agent. So it's a free service, and there's so many benefits. I can't see why somebody would not use a buyer's agent. Yeah.
Interesting. Any other advice?
First-time buyers, take your time, right? Don't fall in love with any transaction at any price. There will always be, if somebody's selling at 65, there's always going to be 45 in the market. Understand why there's the $20 difference. Walk in calmly, right? And ask what are the terms and conditions, right? Put the guys on notice. When are you doing what? By when? Murukutanga rini, muchapedza rini. Dokumira kuona development permit kuti ndigare ndaziva kuti am I going to be buying water, ndovaka here water tank on my site, tiri kushandisa zvibhorani here, what are we doing? So that you are very clear before pen has gone to paper, before $1 has left your pocket. Be sober about it. Expect the cost to escalate, because a developer is going to say, yes, I've sold you a stand for 12,500, ndo mari yangu. But by the way, ndrukufamba ne kanzuru wants 8%, so you are going to pay that endowment. Zesa iruda connection fee ye $500. Zimra iruda VAT on the stand ye 12,500, $1,750. So you start with a price msoro marko of 12.5, you'll eventually pay about 17.5. And people say it's a hidden cost, or it's not a hidden cost. If you knew the process from the beginning and were calm and sober about it, you'd see what you're getting yourself into.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're always in panic.
Yeah. And then one important thing is do your due diligence. That is...
Don't due diligence. You know what are the due diligence?
Right. Good. You need to check, you need to verify. It's a verification process. Basically, if you're going to buy a property, ask to see, well, firstly, get a professional to do it. If you can get your lawyer, if you can afford one, or you can get your estate agent to participate and help you with it. But number one, check the title deed. Whether it's you're buying outright, whether you're buying in a subdivision, whether you're buying whatever property, see the actual master or parent title deed. Look at it yourself, right? Then number two, try and get a copy independently because you can be given a fake one, all right? Get an independent...
Can't overemphasize that.
Yeah. Get an independent copy of the title deed from the registrar's office and compare the two. The person who's signing your agreement, is it the same person registered on that title deed? Is their ID number the same? We're talking simple, basic checks. We've got issues where people buy a piece of property, they look around, they see where the jewel wall is, and they say this is the property. But you then find that 20 years ago, the two neighbors agreed something and the jewel was moved in. So your property actually lands somewhere into your neighbor's house, but because you're respecting that boundary, you don't know. So number three, if I'm on number three, get a copy of the Surveyor General's diagram. That's just a map which shows the dimensions of your property and the shape of your property.
Okay.
And you can measure it and see, does it make sense?
Okay.
If it doesn't, get a surveyor to come and confirm that.
Okay.
I had a client the other day. He sent a lawyer to come to have a look at a property he was buying as part of the due diligence. And I asked the lawyer, what are you doing here? And he says, well, I don't know. I said, well, surely he should have come with a surveyor. If he's going to pay somebody, pay a surveyor to come and look at where the points are the pegs there? Is this the same property? But anyway, so that's the Surveyor General's plans. If it's the case of a subdivision, you want to look at the subdivision permit, you want to see the compliance documentation, and you want to verify if they say that they have done the water reticulation. Is there water reticulated there? So I think due diligence is one of the reasons why people get scammed, just not doing those common sense checks and verifications.
Look, if I gave you $100, you work for a bank. I know you've got your yellow highlighter and you're going to go and you're going to hold it up. That's $100 transaction. Do you put that effort into buying a 12 grand, 15 grand stand?
No, because I'm just worried I'll not get the property.
So
someone else will take it
that
from
logic doesn't stack up to
It doesn't. It doesn't. And it's real. It's a real problem. And I'd just like to thank you both, especially Brian, for coming through, giving your advice. I think as a layman, just explain it, just understand that there are people out there that just need to understand the basics. What you assume we all know, we don't. Estate agents need to understand that. We're walking in, like you said, I'm more cautious with my $100 more than a transaction. I'm just panicking. So I think educating the market is important. We're all players. As a developer, I must educate the market. As an estate agent, I must educate. So we're a family. We must all work at each stage. And I really hope you've learned something again from this discussion. We're here to educate. We're here to walk with you. We're here to help the economy, make it grow, make everybody have a home, and have a safe home and maintain it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This is BancABC. Keep banking with us. Fresh thinking, smart banking.